Please help me welcome Jill Soloway.
Hi, guys. Hey there. How's it going? Sorry, I've got a cough drop in my mouth, a little lozenge. Very excited to be here. I remember I spoke in front of the Now conference. I learned what a plenary was. It's a great conference nerd word. And then this is my first keynote. Keynote is another real honor. I read that tomorrow is actually the executive keynote. I started to feel bad about myself for just being a plain keynote, but that's fine. I'm the filmmaker. Oh, got it. Okay, I thought it was like executive suite at the Radisson, where you the better floor with the better food. Got it. Okay. I'm the artist keynote. Okay, that's good. Okay, so this is going to be very inspiring and motivating. I called the film independent people when they asked me to speak, and I was like, I'm going to be inspiring and motivating. That's okay with you guys, right? And I was like, is it a cliche? Do you get sick of people just coming and being inspiring and motivating? And they were like, no, be inspiring, be motivating, just don't sugarcoat anything. And I was like, I ain't going to sugarcoat. I have some horrible, ugly truths to share, and I will be sharing them. Okay, so 3 years ago, guys, 3 short years ago, I was a mess. I was at rock bottom, and I was hatching plans to leave Hollywood. I was walking with my friend Michaela, and I was saying, I'm done, I'm getting out of here, I'm going to move to Northern California, I'm going to, hang around and wear caftans without underwear, I'm going to sip my coffee in the morning after my kids gone to school, I'm going to self-publish feminist poetry. I think there's a life in that. I honestly was like ready to go. I was really a mess. The previous day I had been at the beauty parlor getting a blowout for my birthday party that evening when I got a call from my agent letting me know that my pilot script that had been at HBO that they were passing on it. Why he would call on Saturday at 3. There's nothing worse than looking in the mirror trying to feel pretty when you've just found out your dreams are dead. And going home to a party and 100 people are there and not enough drugs in the world to have a good birthday party when you've just found that out. I was like, why aren't they picking it up? I thought, I actually was really proud of it. It was about Laurel Canyon in the 60s, and he's like, oh, they're not picking up anything this cycle. It's financial, nothing to do with you, nothing to do with the material. Everybody loves the material, it's just financial. And I was like, but what about that thing I just read in the trades? I just read that thing about that girl who got her pilot. They're shooting it. I think her name is Lena Dunham. What about that? He's like, oh, that's nothing. Don't worry about that. Nothing's going to come of that. It's just low budget. It's nothing. In the past, I had worked as a writer and a producer on 6 Feet Under. I was a showrunner on United States of Terror and How to Make It in America, but I had 2 kids in private school and a whole backlog of taxes from that beautiful chunk of time when there was a recession and a writer's strike. And our savings were pretty much gone. There were options of things that I had written in flux, and there were interests, there were attachments. I had lunches on the books. I had a lunch on the books with either Dermot Mulroney or Dylan McDermott, one of those 2. I still can't remember. I actually had lunch with a guy, and I can't tell you which one it was. A lot of balls in the air, no money balls. So I was going to have to get a job. I was going to have to get a real job. Not like a real job checking luggage at the curb at LAX, but an actual job. And for me, that meant going to work on somebody else's TV show, which I hadn't done in a long time. So I don't know if you guys are TV writers out there, but staffing season is kind of like the worst thing in the world. It's sort of like sorority rush. But instead of being judged on your leggings, which I couldn't be judged on my leggings today, they're fabulous. Thank you. You are judged on, your personality, who you are, your talent, your voice, all that stuff. Pickups happen, and then suddenly, everybody's all a Twitter, a word that used to have no meaning but now has lots of meaning, meaning everybody's on Twitter talking about what meetings they're going on. They're like, oh my God, wish me luck, guys, I'm at Sony. And you're just like, oh my God, what meeting is she going on that I'm not going on? It's horrible. I put on my outfits, and I raced around from Warner Brothers to Sony and Universal, and sitting on the couches and room temp water. And, when they make new pilots, because they don't want to send them around first, you watch the pilot before the meeting in a room. And so sit in a room, watch the pilot, and then you go into the, they don't want to send them around because they don't want people to find out how bad they are. That's kind of the thing. They don't want the word to get out. But so you sit and you watch the pilot in the room, and then you go and meet with the showrunner. And inevitably, I'd be sitting across from people who I had come up with and friends, and they'd be like, are you sure you want to work? You want to work on a sitcom now? You ready to work on a sitcom? Oh my God, yes. I am so ready. I love sitcoms. I mean, I love comedy. I've always loved comedy. I think of myself as a very funny person. And how can you not love sitcoms? I mean, Mary Tyler Moore was a sitcom. That was a great show. And Seinfeld. I mean, yes, I love sitcoms. And they'd be like, okay, so you watched the pilot? Yes, I did. And what'd you think? Oh, I loved it. No, it was really good. I was totally laughing in there. Yeah. Did you hear me did you hear me? I was laughing my head off. Oh, really? You were laughing? Because, I don't know, I kind of hate it. Like, I had to totally compromise. I had to, cast a woman in the lead who wasn't funny. I had no choice. They made me cast. Oh, I thought she was great. No, she was really funny. No, you mean Tess, right? Tess. No, she was funny. And there's no Tess in this show. Oh, fuck, Tess. Yeah, that was the last meeting. Okay. Her name's Jess, right? Yeah, very funny. No, the show's really funny. Are you sure you want to work on my show, Joe? Yes. I really want to help make it funnier, Not that it's not fun. I didn't mean to say it wasn't funny, but I would love to work on your show. Okay. Well, we'd be really lucky to have you. Got in my car, called my agent after the meetings, got a few reports back. Agents speak. Sorry, it's not going to happen. Sorry, this one's not going to happen. It's really crazy right now. It's staffing season. Let me figure out. I'll get some feedback. I'll find out what happened. But sorry, that one's not going to happen either. So staffing season died down. Nobody wanted to hire me. It was like, eat your food out of the cabinets. Stop going to restaurants. If you have soup in the cabinet, eat it. If you have clothes that need to be dry cleaned, don't. It's like, stop spending money. Stop. Just stop spending money. And so I kind of lazed around my house and was pretty miserable and looking online for land near Shasta. I watched the movie of that girl, Lena Dunham, who got her pilot made. Apparently she made it for like $20,000 in her parents' house. I was like, oh shit, fuck. My parents' house is not cool. I don't have $20,000. I was seriously miserable. Seriously eating food out of the cabinets. Seriously hand washing clothes that really wanted to go to the dry cleaners. It was bad. And then suddenly, there was the word that there's one more job. There's one more opening on a show that's looking for somebody. I was like Charlie running to get the last Wonka bar when he found out the other Wonka bar was a fraud. Like, there's a job, I'm gonna get it. And it was a show that had been on, and a friend of mine was on the show, so I quickly dialed her and I said, I don't want to name names about this show, that I want to be discreet, so how can I do that? The friend who's my longtime friend who was on the show, all I'll say is her name is Jane Lynch. Nothing more that you need to know about what show I'm talking about. I called her up and I said, there's an opening on your show. I love you. You love me. Can we do anything? Can you help me here? And she's like, yes, I can do this for you. I'm going to call up the showrunner. I'm going to tell him we love each other. You're going to get the job. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to get the job on the show. I started watching old episodes, reading recaps, getting really excited, dreaming up storylines for the next season, about again, I want to be discreet. Next season, about a show about kids in high school who sing and dance. I went on the meeting, and I just fucking blasted it out of the water. I was so adorable. I was, like, wagging my tail, like I'm doing right now. I was dropping references from season 3 and season 6. They loved me. There was hugging. There was almost making out. The people in the room actually said to me, I'm sorry, I'm cutting the meeting so short. You know that feeling when you're on a date and you meet the person and you just know this is like that. We love you. I got in my car. My agent was already calling me. He was suddenly easy to reach again. He's like, they loved you. I was like, yay. And he's like, you just need to meet the showrunner. And I was like, awesome. They're setting up the meeting for you tomorrow. You're going to go meet him. They're going to send you out to the set of, I don't want to give anything away. Blamerican Blory. That was the show I was going to go to if you can figure it out, that's on you. They're going to send you out to the set of Blamerican Blory to meet the showrunner, Bliam Blur Blue. And all he has to do is like you, and if he likes you, you're going to get the job. Then, like 10 minutes later, they spoke to Bliam Blur Blue, and he loves you. You don't need to go to the set of Blamerican Blory. The job is yours. Pop the champagne. All in the car. Pop the champagne. I'm not lying, guys. Those words were spoken. All three. Pop, and champagne. Spoken to me. I called my husband. I screamed into the phone. I did it. We did it. Oh, we're going to be okay. We're going to be all right. Oh, baby, we can go to a restaurant. I took my clothes all to the dry cleaners. We went out for dinner. Monday morning, I start, planning my outfits. What am I going to wear for the first day of work? I check in with my agent. He's really easy to reach again. Try and find out what's the offer. What level am I going to be at? Is it weekly? Is it episodic? Are they guaranteeing any scripts? He said that he hasn't gotten the offer yet, but he'll call me the second it does. On Tuesday, there's no call. I asked my agent if he's worried. I asked him if he thinks he should call and check in. And his reply was, I don't chase offers. On Wednesday, I wrote him a concerned but calmly worded email about whether I should trust this spidey sense I had that something was not quite right. Are you worried, I asked him? He didn't write back. On Thursday at noon, I was at the end of my sweaty rope, and I emailed him one desperate sentence. If you know something, please put me out of my misery. The phone rang immediately. It was him plus another agent, 2. Not good, guys. It's either really good news or really bad news when there's 2 of them on the phone. So, your feeling was right. The offer's not coming. The offer's not coming? What the fuck happened? What happened? So apparently they asked around about you, and the word out there is that you're difficult. Difficult? What are you talking about? I mean, do you guys have any fucking idea how broke I am? We're out of money. I'm eating soup. Who the fuck called me difficult? I'm not fucking difficult. I'm nice. I'm fucking wonderful. Not difficult. One of my agents said in a calm voice, he said, I'm going to messenger you over a check right now. How much do you need? I was like, I'll take $1 million. I didn't say that. I said an amount of money that would get us through the next few months. The check came, and I walked it into the bank. And that night, I was in the bath with my husband. Well, I was in the bath. He was in the bathroom brushing his teeth. And we talked about what was next. I said, I don't ever want to be in this position again. I have to make a film. The reason HBO picked up that show instead of mine, it was because they can see her voice. No one can see my voice. All I am is that girl who used to write on 6 Feet Under. I want to use that loan to make a movie. I want to double down on me. Sure, he said, yes, I'm in. I make it sound really easy. Our relationship is a bit more complex. We didn't have an argument. I didn't need to get out of the bath and walk around like Julianne Moore in shortcuts with my red bush out. I don't have a red bush, but I did not do that, is what I'm saying. I did not walk around naked with my red bush out for the argument. But it was a good discussion, and it ended with us deciding to go for it. And I had a feature script that had been sort of kicking around for a while that people liked, but sort of had that old gym shoe smell. I had the first part of a movie about a suburban mom who befriended a hooker but sort of stalled out around the second half of the second act. Like everything. Oh, the second half of the second act. That's the hard part. Everybody can write the first act. I didn't think I could finish anything feature length in time, and so I decided to use the money to make a short. My friend Michaela had a funny idea about picking up a day laborer at Home Depot to hang around and instead of have him work, just like hug you while you watch Real Housewives. With her permission, I stole the idea and I wrote a script and found a producer, and a month or so later I was shooting and mixing and color correcting and submitting to Sundance. As Thanksgiving week rolled in, I still hadn't heard, and I began to question Sundance's logic of using Thanksgiving as the time to let people know. What kind of monsters would ruin people's lives by giving almost all of them really bad news on Thanksgiving? And my friend was like, well, maybe it's good because you get bad news from Sundance, but then you realize that you still have your family, so you're really grateful. I was like, no, that wouldn't work. Nope, family would not do that. And I think it was either Thanksgiving morning, it was the day after Thanksgiving. It definitely was like I felt that everybody else had gotten into Sundance except for me. My phone rang. Actually, before the phone rang, I was hatching a plan to take my short film and make a website where I would charge people 5 cents to watch it. I was going to monetize it. I was like, 1,000 people, 5 cents, I'll make my money back. I know 1,000 people. I can get them to pay 5 cents. The phone rang. Hi, this is Kelsey calling from the Sundance Film Festival. May I speak to Jill? I was like, only a psychopath would call somebody with, bad news in a happy voice. This must be good news. This is Jill. I'm calling to tell you that we'd like to welcome you to the 2013 Sundance Film Festival. Like, to rent a condo early, or welcome what? Your film, we loved your film. Oh my God, Kelsey, I don't know who you are, but I love you. Kelsey, I love you. I don't know who you are, but I love you. In the weeks that followed, I was high on life. Still no job, but I was going to make it now because I was a director. And when I got to Sundance and I checked in and they gave me that director credential, put it around my neck, I almost cried. So Robert Redford had invited me over to his house for brunch. Okay. Actually, they had a director's brunch that I was invited to at Sundance. When I got the invitation, I thought like it was going to be me and Bob, and we were going to be like sitting on a couch in our socks in front of a fireplace, and like wrapped in Ralph Lauren blankets. I found out it's not that at all. If any of you guys do make it to Sundance as a director, it's at the Lodge. It's in a big meeting room, few hundred people, eggs and chafing dishes, like a conference. It was still awesome. Bob does come. He does speak. You get to hug him like Mickey Mouse. Not allowed to ask for the pictures, so you have to hand your camera to somebody else. By the second year, I had it all figured out. But okay, so Robert speaks. It wasn't sitting around the couch with Robert Redford, but it was so beautiful. It's an hour outside of Park City, where the Sundance Resort is, and they piled all of us directors onto these 3 tour buses, and we went up through the mountains and over the hills to the resort. Super snowy day. And I kind of looked around on the bus at all the people who were like real directors, and I was like a fraud director with a accidental laminate that I didn't know how I got it, but I was like embarrassed to talk to anybody. And we all got off the bus, and I was the last person off the bus, and I sort of like slippy slided by myself up the walkway. There's flurries coming down, and I like tasted a snowflake, and I had really felt like I made it to the top of a mountain. Throughout the rest of the festival and any off time when my film wasn't screening, I went to see other people's films. And one afternoon, I was sitting in the biggest theater there. It's called Eccles. About 10 minutes into a aggressively medium film. It wasn't bad. It just sucked, I was like, this sucks. I could fucking do this. What am I fucking waiting for? I don't know if you guys been to Eccles, but like the middle part is like twice as long as this. So if you're going to get up 10 minutes into a film, you have to be like, excuse me. You have to make a real show of leaving in the middle of a film if you're in the middle of Eccles. I was like, excuse me. I got on the shuttle, took it back to Main Street, walking up the hill to my condo, ran into a friend of mine. He's like, where are you going? I'm like, I am going back to my fucking condo, and I'm finishing that screenplay about the housewife and the hooker. I am coming back here next year. I'm going to make a feature. I'm going to be back next year at the Sundance, and I'm going to fucking have a feature. He's like, all right, okay, Joe. For the next few days, I sat in my condo, and I just added pages. I just put anything into the second half of the second act. I'm getting to the end. Got back to L.A., and kept charging forth. I actually went to a filmmaking lab run by a woman named Joan Shekel, who I recommend to anybody who's trying to get accepted into programs. And it was something that Gina Kwan, Miranda July's producer, told me about. If you have the money or can find the money to get yourself to a workshop, she really gave me a technique, which I didn't have before. And her technique, I boiled down to the question, what are you doing to get what you want? What are you doing to get what you want? It's a question I ask of every character. What are they doing to get what they want in this movie, in this sequence, in this scene or beat or moment? It can also be asked of the cinematographer. What does the camera want? The props, the art direction, the light. All of the elements, everything must be doing something. The audience, whether they're in a movie theater or they're in their house, are sitting. They're not doing anything, except for maybe eating, but they're not doing anything. And what they want to watch is somebody they love doing something to get what they want. That makes people keep watching the doing. What are you doing to get what you want? It also became a rallying cry for myself, to be pushing myself to really look at what I was doing to get what I want. Although I had been writing TV for many years and went to film school, I actually didn't have a directing technique. I had a shot list and a hope for the best. But I didn't have something to do when I got to the set. So I think you really need a technique, whether you make it up or you learn it. So it was around May when I finished the movie script about the housewife and the hooker, and I had been through the workshop. On a Friday, I sent it to my agent, and she sent it to some sort of fancy indie producers. I sent it to a few of my friend producers. There was a fortuitous meeting at the Silver Lake Farmers Market with a producer friend near the pupusa stand. Their names were Jen and Sebastian. I don't think they're here, but every so often I find myself speaking, there's Sebastian. Not here, Sebastian? They're amazing independent producers. They had read the script. They called me the next day. They said, we want to make something right away. This is exactly the kind of movie we want to make. We loved it. I went to their office over on Sunset and sat across from them. All three of us were driven by the notion that we were going to be back at Sundance the following year. They had also had things that had kind of gotten close, and all we wanted to do was be back. And for us, that meant shooting by August, no matter what. I think this was May, maybe June, shooting by August no matter what. And so I said something to the effect of, so that means that if we go out to Kate Winslet, and Kate Winslet says yes, but she doesn't want to shoot till January, we're going to pass on Kate Winslet. And they were like, yes, and we all shook. We are going to pass on Kate Winslet. We agreed, yes, we would pass on Kate Winslet if she didn't want to go till January. That we had this, there's a lot of everything happens for a reason stuff, but there's also something to be said for setting a goal and sticking to it and giving yourself the boundaries of, no, we're going back to Sundance, we're shooting in August. If Kate Winslet can't make it, Kate Winslet is not in this movie. So it didn't matter. We never sent it to Kate Winslet, so she never had to pass. And we never had to do that math. But we got it to the right actors and the right people. Found a line producer and a budget, and before long we were shooting. And as I was shooting, I learned a bunch, and I'm going to share some of those things with you now to sort of, this is the inspiring and motivating part. So every project is a race between your enthusiasm and your ability to get it done. Go fast. Don't slow down. A year from now, you will probably be interested in other things. Keep pushing the boulder up the hill. But if it feels like you're pushing a boulder up a hill, that's really not good. You should feel like you're pushing a boulder up a hill and there should be a bunch of people around you. If you're pushing and you look and there's nobody with you, you might be pushing the wrong boulder. When I was making Afternoon Delight, I called my directing style, I called it directing from the feminine. Now that I've been involved in trans politics for the past year, I find the binary suspect. So now I'll call it being in the flow. It means don't show up to shoot your script. That's the biggest thing I learned. I think even on 6 Feet Under, I would go down to the set with my script to get the actors to do it. And what I learned from Joan was that the script is a tool that you make with your mind that gets people on board, that raises money, that tells the producers how to tell the people where to park the trucks. But when you get to the set, what you need is your body so that you can feel things. And for me, the magic that happens when you call action and you start to, and you feel the take, I think in the past that had been something that I had been very shut down around. Oh, I hope they do it right. Oh, I hope they say it right. Now I recognize that from the moment you say action, you go on this ride where you start to feel. And if you aren't feeling anything, then when you say cut, you go up to the actors and you whisper something in their ear that will make you feel something, that will surprise you, that will turn you on, that will surprise one of the other actors. It's more about alchemy, creating an atmosphere on the set while the cameras are there to photograph it, than it is about getting the words I wrote, which was a huge journey from writer to director. Another thing about being in flow is really thinking about filmmaking as throwing a party. And again, like, don't want to be talking about the male and the female, the feminine and the masculine. I see a post-gender future. But if we were saying that women had the ability to make films in a way that they never realized, that there are shortcuts for women that really felt like they were these secret doors that I had so much access to and I didn't know I had access to, because I was trying so hard to do something that in my mind had this kind of climbing a ladder feel. And one of the doors that was closest to me, which was like, oh, I know how to do this, like, oh, I was wearing these ruby slippers all along, was that filmmaking is really just like throwing a great party. It says, show up at this time, these people come, bring a camera, and have fun. You know, that was much more important to me than really like understanding lenses, which I still don't. I think that when the numbers get smaller, the lenses get farther away. I have no idea. No idea, guys, honestly. Came this far with I couldn't tell you anything about a lens. But I can tell you that I set up an environment that really reversed the polarity of filmmaking and of TV making. So most people, when you go on a set to make a film or to do a TV show, there's sort of the mantra of like, we're running out of time, we're running out of money, we're running out of light. Time is money, money is... it's film, it's so much more important than anything. I don't know why people treat it like it's more important than brain surgery, it's more important than politics. We're going to run out of money and time. It's like, it's art making, it's play. And so bringing that ability, sort of like when I say I kind of knew how to do things without realizing it, being a mom and saying, okay, kids, put on a show in the backyard. And there are no rules. Have fun. I'll see you in a few moments with snacks. That really brings so much to the set. I sort of surprise people by reversing the polarity around these ideas, and I say, I go in behaving as if and sharing the idea that we have plenty of time, we have plenty of money, there is light everywhere, there is light bouncing off every surface. There is light inside all of you. There is light in this story that we're going to share with the world. We're not running out of anything. I also reverse the polarity of that kind of rushed, we're going to get in trouble feeling of really slowing things down and often like starting the day by reminding everybody that we're not gathering over getting it right or doing it right. Sometimes I'll make people hold hands, which can be awkward with certain crew members. But sometimes I'll take the actors and we'll go in a room, we'll hold hands, and I'll say, we are gathered here today over the feeling of gratitude that we are spending our day making art, that we are here to play. It's like a play, has the word play in it. Guys, let's not forget we're here to play. You can't do anything wrong, you're not going to fuck up. I say this to the background artists, I say nobody's going to get in trouble. We are here to play, let's play. That, I feel like, is brought more to me as a director than anything I ever learned about a shot list. And so another thing that I was doing when I was making Afternoon Delight was I had gotten this like box set of Cassavetes movies, and there was a book that came in the box set, and it was things that Cassavetes had written. And I started bringing the book with me to the set in the morning and sort of reading it beforehand, like, you know, this like my scripture before I got started. And I'm gonna read a paragraph that he wrote. in 1959, he wrote a manifesto called What's Wrong with Hollywood? And I went back to this paragraph so many times as I was making that movie. He said, "The artist is an irreplaceable figure in our society. An artist is a person who can speak their own mind, who can reveal, educate, and stimulate, and in every sense communicate with fellow human beings. It is a privilege to communicate worldwide in a world so incapable of understanding. The answers cannot be left in the hands of the money men. The answers must come from the artist herself." Cassavetes didn't say herself, but I'm going to gender all this stuff female for the women out there. "She must become aware that art and the respect due this vocation is her responsibility. And if she cannot garner that respect, the fault is her own. She must, therefore, make the producer realize, by whatever means are at her disposal, that only by allowing the artist full and free creative expression will the art and business of motion pictures survive." So that was 1959, about 50 years ago, and a lot of the same stuff applies. The point I took from that was that I became willing to take the blame if I couldn't communicate the necessity that as an artist I needed creative freedom. And you don't get to go around going, "I'm an artist, I need creative freedom." It does not work. that doesn't work that way. You actually have to speak the vision of your project in a way that convinces people to pay for it. And you have to keep speaking that vision over and over and over again, and you have to articulate that vision for everyone so that they will pay for it. And if they won't pay for it, it's not their fault, it's not the business's fault, it's not the industry's fault, it's your fault. It's my fault. It's the artist's fault. The artist must be able to get out in the front of that boat and lead by speaking the vision and be able to make decisions about their work from a place of art. And what he said that was so important to me was that the art is so needed by the planet, and if you are an artist, part of your art is convincing people to pay for it. And if you can't convince them to pay for it, you've got work to do. But don't get this confused. Freedom of creative expression does not mean that you don't take notes. Take notes from anyone and everyone who will read your work. I take every note with a "yes, sir, may I have another" attitude, and I suggest you do the same. Obviously, you never give people notes on their notes. You don't give them feedback, defend. You get a pen out, and whoever they are, you write down everything they're saying. And then you can take it home, and you can decide if the notes make any sense, and you can either do the notes or not do the notes, but take in every and all feedback. It's a collaborative medium, so you must be open enough to allow other people's stamina and energy to get on your ride with you, but not so open that any of their negativity can ever slow you down. We finished shooting Afternoon Delight and submitted to Sundance and got in. The following year, I was back at that same theater. I was like, excuse me. 1 year later, on the stage, introducing my first feature. That night at our premiere party, I danced my head off. I was wild and free and full of the feeling that I'd made it. Our sales agent brought me executives who said that they were crazy about my movie, people who said, promise me you won't let anybody else have it, this is ours. I wish I could describe that moment as a Cinderella moment, as the peak of a mountain, as the peak that brought me here, but I can't. 2 days after that premiere, the meanest review in the world came out. You guys know I don't like to name names, so I won't. Todd McCarthy. One of these days, guys, I'm going to get him. It's okay, that's fine. It cast a chill on any kind of bidding war that was going on, and I was like, it was the worst. It was really the worst review. It was so sad. Best night ever, worst review ever. He fucking hated my movie, and the bidding war seemed to just disappear. It was either Variety or Hollywood Reporter. It was a big industry newspaper, and bad review. Got lots of great reviews, but this was a bad one the morning after. I went back to my condo, took one of those afternoon naps where you're just like paralyzed, like a daymare. I had a daymare that I died. Like the dream took place from inside the drawer at the morgue. I was looking out of the drawer at the morgue. I did not need Freud for that one. A few days later, I was really ready to go home. I couldn't deal with the ups and the downs, and there was like incoming storms. And I was like, I'm going to get out of here before the storms come. Michaela convinced me to stay until the awards. And sitting at the awards ceremony, and Ed Burns calling out my name for winning the directing award was like, I was like this, huh? What? I couldn't even be happy because I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was in shock. I went up on stage. He gave me the award, and as we walked off, I said to him, I got the worst reviews of my life yesterday. And he said, welcome to being a grown-up artist. Now you begin. That night, I danced and celebrated, and I woohooed, but not because I felt like I made it. I danced because you never really feel like you made it, so on any night that you can dance, especially in Hollywood, you should. You don't go straight up mountains to get to the top. You go around and around and around, and as you do, you necessarily come to a place that looks very familiar. Oh, I've been here before, but now you're higher up, so it looks different. In some ways, my movie felt like both a success and not enough of a success. But a few months later, when I sent out the script for Transparent and sat across from Joe Lewis at Amazon, my movie was that thing I needed. It was a way for people to see my voice. If you like the movie, I said, I can make a pilot that feels very much like it. Hold, please. If you like the movie, I can make a pilot that feels very similar. I have the cinematographer, I have the editor now, I have the hair and makeup person, I know the wardrobe person. I know how to make a pilot look the way that movie looked. I have a technique now that I can use with the actors, and I know how to get those performances. Most of the people come in here with a script. By the time a manager or an agent or a producer or casting director or director comes onto the project, the tone slowly starts to slip away. But I can tell you, as the writer, as the producer, and now as the director, the tone is something I can guarantee. I, sir, am offering you a warranty on your tone. And as I said that, I realized, well, yeah, I think I could feel like that they were going to make it. Because if I was a buyer, I would like a warranty on tone. You know, that's the hardest thing, is to deliver something that feels a certain way, and I was telling him I could guarantee it. Getting the green light to make the Transparent pilot and then the series has basically divided my life into before and after. Having the tools that I needed to surf that wave have made the past year honestly feel like I'm on a ride. It's felt very inevitable, hard work, but incredibly easy. I have never had to politic or manipulate or harangue. I got to just bear witness to the unfolding story of a family. When people ask me if I like TV or movies better, I say there's really no difference. There's one difference. I don't think I'd be able to independently finance a 5-hour movie about a trans person with no movie stars. Really, 5 hours? Yep, 5 hours. Yeah, the independent film money is like, Silicon Valley money is like a lot more money in Silicon Valley than there is in indie film world. And if I had managed to get somebody to pay for my 5-hour independent film about a trans person, I don't know if anybody would have been able to figure out how to release it or market it. So the fact that Amazon did and did it so beautifully makes me feel like I actually am finally at the top of a mountain. Now that the series has come out and people like it, I am looking for opportunities to dance. I have spent so much of my life trying, and my new trying involves that feeling that I do on the set of trying to be in my body enough to take in the feelings. And this time the feelings are that I made something good and I made something that matters. I do still have the rural dream. I will be there one day, but I think I'm going to wait like 10 years. I think I can do some more work here for a while. I am not sure whether or not I will still want to self-publish feminist poetry. I think I will still want to wear the caftans without any underwear. For now, I go to the wardrobe trailer and I pick out caftans for Maura. For now, I'm going to stay, and while I do, I'm going to just keep challenging myself to walk that center line, to be in flow, have my masculine and my feminine in balance, be kind yet discerning, open yet grounded, and keep showing up alive, taking responsibility for that thing that Cassavetes said, of the great privilege of communicating with the world that comes with making art. That's it. That's the non-executive keynote. not delivered as an executive might deliver it. Okay, so thank you. I hope it was inspiring and motivating. And we have time for a few questions, right? We're gonna do some Q&As. You guys give me the Q's, I'll give you the A's. What you got?
Hello. I'll stand up.
Hi.
I saw you speak one other time at another Film Independent event. What really struck me about what you said today was there was an amazing joining of total self-doubt in moments and feeling like you'll never do it, and then also an incredible confidence that I'm going to get into Sundance, and I'm going to get into Sundance again. Almost otherworldly confidence about that kind of thing that statistically is such a small chance. Did that come from your years of experience leading up to that point? And how do you think that duality helped you stay sane or stay insane during the whole process?
Well, I look back on other things that got close. So, like, with Una Hora Por Favor, I really didn't have that feeling, like, this is happening. I felt like I had made something good, and I hoped that I would get in, but it didn't have that inevitable feeling. And it's something that Diablo Cody told me about Juno, which was like when she wrote it, like from the moment, like while she was writing it, and even when she sent it out, she could feel that feeling. Okay, this is going to happen. It's going to happen, and it's going to be big, and it's going to be good, and it's going to work. And I would say for Afternoon Delight, I had that feeling a little bit because things were rolling, so there were problems. Like, again, as we got closer to shooting Afternoon Delight, we lost our star, we lost our cinematographer 5 days before we started shooting. So there were problems, but there was a forward momentum where I didn't feel like I was pushing the boulder up the hill. And then with Transparent, like that out of the water, like from the second I wrote the pilot, I was like, I could feel it, this is going to happen. But when I look back at the sort of match between relentlessly believing in yourself and dealing with the ups and downs of reality, in the years before that, like I kind of look back now and I realize, nothing was happening for me and I didn't know it. Because like I had a movie that I had written that some people at Universal were interested in, and they loved it, and they flew me to New York to meet with Rachel Weisz, and I was going to direct it. I flew first class to New York to meet with Rachel Weisz. I think I was calling my parents and saying, I'm going to make a movie. Had a great meeting with her, came back, and then like regarding getting the other attachments for the movies, it's like nothing happened. Like nothing came of it. And I look back on that, and I realized two big things about why that didn't happen. One was that I wasn't making it happen. So we would go out to other actors, and there would be they wouldn't write back, or they wouldn't call back, or they would, they said, who do you want to play the male lead? I said, George Clooney. They're like, all right, we're out to Clooney. Well, then nothing happened. But now I realize if we were out to Clooney on a Monday, and on Friday, you have to call and go, he has the weekend, we're moving on Monday. And then you have to move on Monday. But I didn't know that, even though you don't want the producing credit on your movie, somebody told me never, if you're a director, never take the producing credit. It makes it sound like you had to throw your own birthday party. Even though you are only the director, or let's say the writer, but hopefully you're the director because you can actually do it, you have to behave as the producer. And you have to call you have to keep going. You ever heard from Clooney? Don't give a fuck then. We're moving on. Clive Owen now. And, until you get to the person who says yes. And you have to have that date. Well, we're shooting in August. You have to be doing that. And I was so part two was I wasn't confident enough to do that. I wasn't pushing for that movie to happen because I didn't know how to direct. I actually didn't believe them when they told me I could direct it. They were like, oh, yeah, you can direct this. Your writing is so good. You're just like the new Cameron Crowe. I thought they were lying because I didn't have a technique. I actually had no idea what to do were Rachel Weisz and George Clooney to show up on my set. Thank God it didn't happen. I didn't know what I was doing. So, it's not just about the phone calls and the auspices and things coming together. All that stuff met me getting to a place and going to that filmmaking lab where I was like, I know exactly what to do. I know exactly what to do when the people get here, and I know how to do this. So I think it's a little bit of both. A little bit of magic happening, but it doesn't happen without you really pushing forward not only the vision for the project, but your own desire to do it. You know, you have to really want to do it. You have to really want to make the movie. You have to dream about it and see it and want it. You know, I think a lot of people secretly don't want things to happen. So when the call doesn't happen, they can do whatever they were going to do that weekend. You know, smoke pot or go to a bar. Or, you know, oh, it's a relief. George Clooney didn't call. This is what I thought. I am a horrible writer. Whew, okay. You know, people secretly, I think, want to be told that they suck so that they can stop trying. And, you know, you have to move your way towards, you have to want it. You have to want it enough to not really be secretly hoping somebody's going to let you off the hook from making your thing. Did you guys figure out what Blumerican blower blory means by now? Joan Shekel, yeah. So she has a place called the Filmmaking Labs, and she teaches something that she calls the technique. It's here in Hollywood. Her last name is spelled Scheckel. She absolutely taught me how to direct. There are a lot of directors who use her techniques, Miranda July and Mike Mills and Dayton and Ferris, and I take all my actors there now. She reads all my scripts. She has a real way of drilling down to the nugget at the center of your material and helping you understand how that nugget of meaning emanates through everything, not only the performances in the script, but your relationship and discussions that you have with people with money. The nugget of the movie, you know, it appears everywhere in your life. It's in your own psychology. It's about, you know, she helps you get clear on what it is. If you have a blind spot about this thing in your life, there will be the same blind spot in your script. You will have the same blind spots in your meetings with financiers, and she really believes that if the money isn't there, it's because the vision isn't ready, and that as the vision becomes ready, the money comes. But it's really difficult, and she's a total hard ass. And I did the 6-week directing workshop with her, and like for the first 2 weeks, I was thinking about quitting the whole time because she's not like, "Oh, you're amazing, you're so wonderful, I love you." She teaches, and she teaches like an army sergeant, you know, who feels things, but she pushes you. And so if anybody's going to go work with Joan, be ready to spend a lot of the time feeling like you want to get out.
Hi, Jill.
Hi.
I just wanted to say congratulations on
thank
your
you.
success.
Where is she coming from? I feel like it's a voice. Oh, hi.
My question is, when Afternoon Delight came out, did you already have Transparent written?
No, I didn't. I wrote Transparent, let's see. I was thinking about it. I pretty much came back from Afternoon Delight and started writing it. Came back from Sundance and started writing it pretty much February of 2014. And honestly, I sometimes I think about the people who I want to blame, like whoever is that person who called me difficult. I would like to hug that person now, whoever they were. They saved me from a life as somebody else's, you know, as a consultant on a TV show. And I like to make fun of the fact that like this, I blame this reviewer, you know, for Afternoon Delight not having some sort of huge release. But the truth is, had that movie, actually I learned this last time that I was here with the people who made The Surrogate. Ben, they were talking about what the year of their life was like in the year after they sold their movie for $6 million and had distribution. They were on the road. They were working their asses off for a full year. And so I remember when I heard that, like, okay, Afternoon Delight was meant to be much beloved by some feminists and some people, but it wasn't meant to keep me busy for the next year because it was supposed to happen so that I could write Transparent. Like, this is the thing that was supposed to happen, and the thing that felt like this shitty review or the person who called me difficult, even those things that seem like these huge losses, they end up being these, you know, epic fails that give birth to me being here.
We got one more question right here.
Hi, Stephen Graham, a producer. How do you balance family and your Transparent work? And how has Transparent changed your life, or has it in the way people look at you, the way people deal with you?
Thank you for that question. So the balancing family thing is like, definitely for a couple of months when we were shooting, I was having a hard time getting home in time to see my kids. And that's one of the biggest issues, I think, facing women, is that the rules for filmmaking were made for men. And they were made about work, in the same way there's this huge bullshit that has sold the world, which is like, sorry, honey, gotta work, because work is hard, gotta stay late. Actually, work isn't hard. Work is the easiest thing in the world, particularly when you're a writer-director. You're creating an imaginary world, and you're living in it, and you're telling people what to say and how to say it, and you're playing. But the ways that film gets made and TV gets made is like, gotta stay till midnight. So I hired another director on Transparent. Her name is Nisha Ganatra. She directed 3. Yay, Nisha! I directed 7. And, we did things that are against the DGA rules. We took turns working on each other's episodes. When I wanted to go home, I'd be like, will you finish the night for me? When she had to be somewhere, I'd direct a scene for her. It's like I tell women and feminists and anybody who's normally otherized by the machine, queer people, people of color, you must disrupt at every turn. It never stops. Got to. The white cis male point of view is something that privileges the white cis males. They're not going to let go of it easily. If you are a white cis male in the audience and you have the drive to make a film, I ask you to go find a woman, a person of color, a queer person, maybe tell their story first, because it's time. It's really time that stories from people who have been otherized are going to become the center of things. So besides being a woman and getting a story told from a woman's point of view, I had to reinvent how it feels to work every day so that I could be at home with my family. And then, having made this show and like the fact that people like it, it really has changed me because I'm just like, I kind of went through my whole life like feeling like I was trying to do something and get somewhere and say something, like start the feminist revolution, topple the global patriarchy, figure out what's for lunch, like every day, all the time, relentlessly driving towards something. And there's a feeling with Transparent that I've done enough for a second. Like the show is out there and it's being seen and people love it, and I don't really need to do anything for a minute except for just feel that feeling of the fact that people like it. And that's really weird for me. That's really weird to just try and take in, it's good and people like it, and I've done enough. So yeah, it's a new feeling for sure.